Hello everyone and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. And today we'll be playing Finland. It's been a while.
I'm looking for a pair of half-brothers with different fathers from Finland.
Hello?
Hello?
This is why Sweden, Chris. Never Finland.
Now, I was going through my Steam and I noticed I don't have a few of these achievements. And why not combine that with a nice bit of secret monarchism for Finland? So Iron Man mode is on, historical focuses are on, and I can get achievements! Yeah, I need to get a few of these, so let's get going. It is a bit ironic that me, the man who makes the guides, doesn't have all the achievements. So, what are we gonna do today? Let's take a look at these. We're gonna be going for the Lone Wolf, which is just a really cool name. Not that cool of an achievement, but we basically need to dismember the Soviet Union for this, as well as sneak some land off Finland. Wait, we are Finland. Sneak some land off Norway and Sweden. Then we can do No One Crosses the Finish Line, where we just don't lose any of our cores. Easy enough. While we're at it, we might as well grab Uralic Brothers United. Now, 2 Arms Against Tyranny is also available, but I don't really want to bother because it might not interact properly with the Lone Wolf. Before we get into this, I want to apologize for my voice. I am a little ill. It has gone straight to my vocal cords. Please suffer through this with me. Anyway, we are off to the races. First off, we're going to start with Finnish neutrality. Now, I know the easiest path is through right-wing policies, but this does not give us a king, and there is nothing more important to me than establishing monarchies whenever I go. So, Finnish neutrality it is. Then, for research, we'll go with the basics, production, construction, and engineering. Now, what I research and when I research is not ultimately super important. The basics are keep up to date with your industry, keep up to date with your electronic engineering, at least up to computing machine and radio, and then keep your infantry equipment and artillery up to date. We will not be going for an air force. You could, if at some point you have the industry, you could certainly do that, and we will be grabbing a tiny bit of armor, but don't worry about it too much. I'll tell you when I research things, but you don't have to copy this all. Construction. We are going to be building a great deal of military factories. In fact, we're going to be building almost exclusively military factories. We start in our highest infrastructure provinces and just queue those up. The dockyards can just build convoys because that doesn't matter. Production. We're going to add a production line for towed artillery, towed anti-air, and we're going to add factories to this as we go. So I want this at 2, 2, 2, and 5, and we'll let this fill out, and we'll adjust this as needed. I'll tell you when to add certain things. The army. We have 18 divisions, which is far too many divisions. We're going to strip this down to 4 divisions, and we're going to delete everyone else. The 4 divisions will just park in Helsinki and they can exercise a bit. So great, 4 divisions, that's all she wrote, that's all we need. We're not going to be trading with anyone for now, and we don't have any important decisions to take. And with that, we are off to the races. So Finland is small in stature, and by that I mean they don't have a lot of Finns, and that is going to be the main restriction on Finland. Fortunately, Finland is incredibly powerful through its Finnish army buffs, but you'll see that as the run continues. Now, one thing that may not seem obvious, but we're gonna hang on to Per Evend Svinhuvud, this man. We can change him to have a better leader throughout the run, sure, but we have to get this guy back if we're gonna get the king, so we might as well hold on to him. And to do that, we have to keep an eye out on this balance of power. So we won't be forming a military government, and we won't be organizing the opposition, and we won't be having a vote of no confidence. We're gonna hold on to this, and we're gonna go right into things. With Finnish neutrality done, we're going to go all the way over to the left. We'll grab political unity, followed by align the agrarian league. Now, this public trust is continuously gonna tick down as long as we have more than a certain percentage of support for socialists. In this case, if we have more than a combined total of 9% for democratic or communism, support is going to tick down. If we lose cores, support is going to tick down. And if we have less than 1% communism or democracy, support is going to tick up. So for the foreseeable future, expect public trust to go down, down, down. But don't worry about it, it'll be fine. We have 100 political power, we're going to spend it on Ristoriti, the white liberal. He's going to get our non-aligned support up, give us a little bit more political power and some production efficiency. Very nice, very nice. All right, we've got electronic mechanical engineering. I'm going to grab mechanical computing. We have political unity. Now we align the agrarian league. We have more political power to spend, but nothing really important to spend it on. Now, you might be thinking, we can get this man more stability, more political power, and we get down that communism communism. Yes, we could get this man, but I suggest if we get him later on. Right now, communism really isn't an issue. It will become an issue, and even then not a major issue, so this guy's a maybe later. Or you could go with the National Lutheran Priest for weekly manpower. Now, this comes out to, over the course of the lead up to the war, 36,000 manpower or so. So that sounds like a lot, but ultimately it's not worth the hassle for having to deal with fascism. So we're not going to hire any of these. We are instead saving up until we have aligned the Agrarian League, and then we can hire Urho Kekkonen. He gives us more political power, less consumer goods, and we can build more factories in our good states. Pretty good deal. While we're here, we might as well entice the masses as well. Start moving that public trust in the right direction. When we click that, we also move support for the SPD down far enough that we no longer have to worry about the balance of power taken too far. It is now stable. And from this point forward, until the Soviets start messing with our politics, it should start steadily climbing towards high trust and very high trust. I say steadily, it's still gonna be a while. And again, don't worry about trade too much. It's okay to be producing things at a slightly slower rate. This is a 5% lack of resources penalty. It's not huge in the grand scheme of things. We don't have that many civilian factories, so I want the ones that we do have to be working at peak efficiency, full capacity. And the Agrarian League is now aligned. We will hire Urho Kekkonen, agrarian nationalist. Very nice. And next up, we save for 150 political power to go to partial mobilization. And now we're not going to do the Finnish People's Party, nor will we collaborate with the left. These are a bit of a waste of time. They don't give us all that much. No, we're going to go straight down here to repurpose small industries. Basic machine tools done. Now, there are things to be said for going concentrated this run. Since we have a limited amount of factories, we want them to making more equipment. I still think, considering that we'll be shifting production around a few times and that we will also be building up new factories a lot, I think dispersed is the way to go, and it will keep the Soviets from completely wrecking our economy with bombing. And 150 political power. Let's get partial mobilization. It's a significant boost to our economy. We have a new level of construction as well. Now, this is too far ahead of time, and this is too far ahead of time. So we're going to grab the armored trains. We're going to like these because we will not have an air force. And without an air force, your logistical bombing gets pretty bad. At least armored trains don't blow up as easily. They're a bit more of an investment, but you know, they tend to not just spontaneously combust. And now we're grabbing repurpose small industries. Now, while we wait for things, we got to touch on some things we need. So for the first focus, Lone Wolf, we need to finish Greater Finland and occupy a bit of territory. So Greater Finland is actually not that difficult to get. It's down here. There are two paths toward it, either via the Lone Wolf, finish March of Conquest and then down to Greater Finland, or straight down National Unity. We'll go both paths. It doesn't really matter, honestly. It should just be fine. We'll get there eventually. After which, we need to occupy quite a bit of land. Finland needs to own pretty much this, that, Tikvin, Volkov, Leningrad, and Luga, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty much all of our border territories with the Soviet Union, as well as Finnmark and Norrbotten. Finnmark is up here, and it's relatively straightforward to capture. Then we have Norrbotten here. First off, the Soviet territories will capture from the Soviets, as you'd expect. During that Soviet war, we're going to be justifying a war goal on Sweden. Now, we will get a core if we do Greater Finland. We will get cores on Norrbotten and Finnmark, meaning we can justify war goals cheaply and quickly, and we can get war goals that don't expire, so we can justify them immediately and declare the war when it's expedient. In the case of Norway, Norway will be occupied by Germany by then, and it will just be a matter of fighting our way through Norway once they're Germany occupied, and occupying all of Norway before we capitulate Germany. In that case, they will not be included as a separate member in the peace deal, but we can simply take that territory away as if it was German. It has something to do with how peace deals work. We'll touch on that later. When we're at war with the Soviet Union and we have our core, we're going to justify on Sweden. Because we will not have made any world tension, no matter how high world tension is, none of the in-game AI powers will issue a guarantee of independence on Sweden. Simply put, they physically can do it, but they're programmed not to respond to a player's justification until that player has generated at least 10% world tension. Because we will have generated none, we will be able to do that as long as we haven't finished the war with the Soviet Union. Then when we have that war goal, we're going to wait until we have the Soviets on the ropes, until they are relatively close to defeat. So We're looking at maybe a few more weeks, maybe 1 or 2 more victory points. Then we declare on Sweden. And then we have to pray a little bit because Sweden is mostly democratic. World tension is going to be high, so chances are they might join the Allies, but they are more likely to join the Soviet Union because we are at war with the Soviet Union. We will be at war with Sweden, and they will be naturally inclined to join the Comintern. Now, I cannot guarantee that this will happen. The AI sometimes does some really weird stuff when it comes to factions. I'm looking at you, Iran, constantly joining Japan's faction, but that is the gist of it. If we have to face the Allies, I mean, it's possible by then you will have the Soviet industrial might and manpower at your back, but it's going to be a very long, drawn-out slog of capitulating the UK and then capitulating the US. It's possible, but not necessarily enjoyable. So that is the grand scheme of things explained. Let's get to it, then. More industry repurposed, great. And now we're going to enhance southern infrastructure. What we're going to do here is grab as many cheap civilian factories as we can before we shift over to increasing the military budget. We have our armored trains. Let us take a look here. This is no longer as far ahead of time, so I recommend we grab construction 2 next. We're going to be building a lot of things, so might as well build them faster. Also, a lot of techs are locked behind certain levels of construction, and the other 2 are almost done as well. So we're going to finish that out by picking up the rest of these industry techs, even though they're a tiny bit ahead of time. These are very reasonable completion dates. And the Comintern Pact, might as well join that. Now that we have finished the southern infrastructure, we'll do industrial development, but keep the game paused for a little bit. So what this does is bring us a bunch of free infrastructure, which is great. You have to then go look down here for the Pojolan Voima. Don't ask. Essentially, when we complete this focus, we get a free civ in up to 5 controlled core states with at least 3 levels of infrastructure. So we have to take a look. Right now, we only have 3 states that have level 3 infrastructure. Why not make that 5 by adding it? We can do it 2 ways. Either we build 1-2 infrastructure in both of these tiles, or we build 1-2 here and 1-2 here. Now, this takes slightly longer, but results in us having slightly more resources available. Choice is yours how you want to do it. I prefer to do it this way. This gives me a little bit more steel. It is slightly faster of just building 1 in Mikkeli and 1 in Kimi, but again, the choice is yours. Happy days, 200 political power. We're going to hire Carl Gustav in Mannerheim. Defense is nice, but the army experience gain is wonderful. We might replace him later with the army offense guy, Osterman, but for now he'll be just fine. And now we're gonna wait until we have 5 army experience here. There you go. We have 5 army experience. We're going to go into recruit and deploy, division designer, create a new template, and add a single cavalry to it. Let's just delete the others. I don't need the others. We're gonna now train up about 50 of these and a high priority, and we're gonna continuously force deploy them so that we can get many of these deployed without ever needing the equipment for it. With industrial development done, we're now going to grab Vaisalas radiosonde tests. This gives us a free civ and a nice research bonus to electronics. And we start spamming the horses, boys. Spam the horses. Presidential term comes to an end. Now, this is where you either replace him, which we are not going to do with that radio thing done. We are now going to grab the Janiskoski power plant. All right, we have our machine tools. Let's work on a little bit of interwar artillery. After you finish industrial development, move the infrastructure up so it gets finished first. We're going to add 1 factory to armored trains. We'll take it away from the artillery for now and then add the factory back in. It's going to look a little bit like this. You're going to want support equipment a little up higher up. We are constantly going to be lacking it. So prioritize support equipment and then towed artillery, anti-air, and finally guns. We're going to be short on a lot of this equipment. Fortunately, until we invade them, Sweden is going to be very generous with Lend-Lease moving forward. Don't worry about it too much. We have the next level of dispersed and the next level of machine tools. We are grabbing the Sisu S21, a better truck, and then we are going into engineering. And we're going to go a little bit ahead of time here, and then we're going to grab the radio. Hydropower plant expanded. Now we can grab the Bank of Åland. And this is the last of our horses force deployed. Now we move reinforcements to high priority as well as garrisons. We're going to take all those horses and take a look here. We're going to split off about 10 of them into their own army. These 10 will be set to port garrisons of all of our coastal regions that have ports, except maybe of their Petsamo. We don't need we'll have units on Petsamo, won't worry. Won't have to worry about that too much. This will allow us to put some real garrisons down here, and we can have them exercise. The other 40 divisions, we're going to make some changes. So we're going to go into recruit and deploy. We'll select the this division. We're going to duplicate it, and we're going to call it the frontline fodder, and save that. We'll take the frontline fodder, give it a different icon, and we're going to remove 1 infantry battalion from this, bring it up to 10 combat width, which is not necessarily sturdy, but it's cheap. And these 40 divisions will be converted into frontline fodder. Brilliant. And they will now exercise until they're at least trained. The 4 units we already had, we're also going to make some changes here. We're going to simply add a single support battalion of artillery, bringing it up to 15 combat width. We'll add support later, and these guys can also exercise. Now, this is going to drain us completely of manpower. These divisions will not be anywhere near full strength when the war starts, but it will mean we have a lot of divisions. And even when they are this below strength, they still have their full organization, meaning they can hold off the Soviets for at least a while. And now that we have assembled the majority of our army, I have decided to rename each and every one of these divisions after our glorious channel members. It is these people who allow me to do what I do. It is their support that allows me to spend all this time with my family, with my kids. So thank you once again, and I hope that I will grant you success and glory on the battlefield instead. If not, maybe a noble death. I'll try not to get you boys in circle, but thank you all once more. Now, all of you will be exercising for the foreseeable future, and we grind on to the next point of victory. We're going to spend 100 political power to entice the masses once again. This forces all of these political parties down far enough that we should start getting a positive balance of power here, and we will be saving more political power going forward to hire a spy boy. One of these elusive gentlemen, I forget which it is, which also means we can now create our spy agency. Now, in terms of upgrades for the agency to pick, I recommend the cryptology department, 2 levels of radio interception, the unfortunately named pills, and the invisible ink. That will give us an extra spy, all those combined, and allows us to decrypt the Soviet cipher, which is pretty valuable considering, you know, we'll be fighting them. We have finished our interwar artillery. We're now going to grab engineering. There we go. Bank of Åland is done. Now we go down increased military budget, Suomen Maimovat, and then Auto for defense. Yeah, let's not embarrass ourselves. We're going to be looking for spies that either have the Soviet nationality, none available, or that are seducers, again, none available. This is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we're going to deploy them near the border here. You could also just deploy them somewhere in Siberia or Vladivostok. They have a slightly less chance of getting caught, but unfortunately don't have any of those available. And I'd like to get them close to the border to reduce the enemy planning bonus. All right, we have our radios. We're working on computing. All of this is quite a bit ahead of time. Let us grab some support weapons. Start making better guns. We now have this Sisu researched, a better truck, and we are first going to add that to our production queue. We'll add 2 factories for now, and we'll add some more as we get going, and we'll take it away from the artillery and 1 from support equipment, mostly so we can start building up a nice stockpile of trucks. Again, we're going to fill this out now as we get further into things. Might actually want to prioritize support equipment and infantry equipment, and then artillery and towed anti-air afterwards. We won't need as much of these. Now, as for research, I like to pick up the excavation techs. And we have another 75 political power available. We are going to be hiring the Valtion Rautatit Railway Company, mostly because we're going to be building supply hubs and railways, and we'd like to build them a little faster. 3 spies and not a single infiltrator among them. Yeah, I'm going to expect to lose some spies, so be it. Now, we have a level 52 or a 52% spy network, which is good. I'm going to take that spy here, who's on 52, put him on quiet intel network. That turns off the intel network, essentially, and just allows it to subsist as is. We're going to now take the other 2 here, and we are going to start preparing for collaboration government in the Soviet Union. We're going to wait until the infrastructure in Lappi is done, And then we are going to start working on that espionage. And with another research slot available, we are going to quickly go over here and start work on interwar tank development. We're going to like tanks, but it's going to be a while. All right, got our defense industries. Let us now get the industrial upgrade in Harjavalta. This gives us a civ, a naval base, a little bit of steel. Very nice. It's time for a collaboration government commence when ready. And we'll take these two spies. It's going to cost us a significant amount of equipment as well as civilian factories. So when we're preparing that, we're going to move this down to medium and this up to high so that our operations actually get sufficient infantry equipment in them. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very long time before we can do that. We've also finished computing machine. Let's grab better artillery. While we do have a lot of army experience, let's spend a little bit more. So these are our 15 width divisions. These are the ones we start with. We have 4 of these. We're going to give them support anti-air as well as support artillery. Expensive in terms of manpower and equipment, but worth it. And then we're going to go to our frontline fodder and we'll add support AA as well as support artillery. Again, expensive, but worth it. And these men will all continue to train for as long as we can. They will be glorious. Got our excavation 1. Let's go into our tank research and get basic engine followed by basic armor. We got the Suomen Akatemia. This adds a lot of steel. We'll do these later on as they don't give an immediate benefit in terms of like factories. Pojan Voima is going to give us 5 civs. Unfortunately, we need construction 3, and looking at that, still a ways off, so we're not going to do that yet. Let's instead grab National Unity and arm the Lottasvert. Start getting us a little bit of extra recruitable population. The extra research slots can go to basic armor protection. All right, improved artillery is in. Gonna start picking up support weapons too, and we'll make the better artillery. We have interwar tank development. We'll now grab 1938 basic medium tank chassis. Let's also grab improved infantry equipment. Basic armor protection done. Let's grab excavation 2. Look at that. With high trust, we now get more recruitable pop, more stability, more war support. Very, very nice. I recommend we go with maintenance companies and then maintenance companies too, so we can make cheaper tanks. And we have our first collaboration government done. We're not going to do the second one for a while. Like I said, we're going to need to focus our industry on, you know, building up more industry instead of doing the collabs. But we can do the collab once the war starts and we are more reliant on imports, or rather handouts from Sweden for our equipment. All right, 200 political power. We're going to hire the army regrouping genius. We have armed the Lottasvard. Now we're going to pan over here and get extra refresher exercises. Next up, after the infantry upgrade, we are grabbing anti-air upgrades. This is still a tiny bit ahead of time, but that research time is like nothing. We have another 50 political power. Let's hire the artillery specialist here. We're starting to get things ready. Basic medium tanks researched. Let us grab this improved infantry equipment here. Maintenance company 1, and let's grab maintenance company 2. We're also going to quickly design the tank we'll be using. We'll add the improved maintenance company stuff later, just so we can get a basic medium tank going. I like Christie suspension. Riveted armor is fine. Gasoline engine's fine. Big fat turret. We'll add the medium howitzer. We'll add improved medium howitzer when we get it. Add some radios to this, as well as a little bit of a heavy machine gun. We'll now add wet ammo storage, get reliability at least somewhat up. These are not going to be the world's greatest tanks in terms of reliability and armor, but they'll do for now. We'll adjust these later. So we're building a supply hub here, as well as one roughly over there, and then the required railways to plug them into the network, like so, as well as connecting the port of Petsamo to our own railway network. We're going to move all of these to the top, with the highest priority, of course, being for the supply hubs. And we're now going to click reorganize the railway system so they can be built a lot more quickly. Of course, once those are built, we're going to go straight back to military factories, but we need supply on our border. We have about 9 months before the Soviets roll in, so we have our work cut out for us. Our divisions are extremely weak, but they at least have some manpower in them. And excavation 2 is done. Let us grab dispersed 3, and then as soon soon as Maintenance Company 2 finishes, we'll of course pick up Advanced Machine Tools. Union of Finnish Brothers in Arms is done. I would like to grab the Jaeger Movement, the Cold Front, and Winter Warfare. This gets us Winter Logistics Companies, which are extremely helpful. So Jaeger Movement first. Yeah, we got a nice amount of extra total manpower due to our Lotasvard, Union of Finnish Brother in Arms, and very high trust. So all in all, like, we're getting a lot of people. It's just not enough to get a functional, fully equipped army. Let's also assign some leaders. Of course, we'll take Mannerheim to lead from the front, Unyielding Defender, as well as Charismatic. Our elites, air quotes, the shock troops in Becoming will turn over to Erich Heinrichs. He has high attack, high defense. He's a pretty good guy. The 24 divisions here will turn over to Voldemar Haglund, give them improv expert. And the 16 divisions will turn over to, let's take a look here, Arne Sivo. Now we have construction 3. Let's grab improved artillery. What I'm gonna do now is reach out to Scandinavia, get my moderate politics, and then move into Lone Wolf. I'm also going to start research towards logistics companies. These will be helpful in the future. So we'll take our frontline fodder and we are going to add winter logistics companies. I know we can't afford them right now. We're going to add them in. They're going to make a massive amount of difference for our armies. Even if we can't afford them right now, we'll be able to afford them in future. It's just nice to have them ready and lined up. We have a little bit of political power to spend, so we're now going to grab Johan Arajuri, the infantry expert. He was unlocked when we did Jaeger Movement, and now all of our other political power has to be hoarded. Very precious now. All right, Germany's going to Germany. We have reached out to Scandinavia. Next up, moderate politics. We have our next level of engineers. It's at this point that I'm going to let you off the leash in terms of research. It doesn't really matter as long as you stick to the basics of keep up to date with industry, keep up to date with engineering. Well, engineering is pretty much done, so it's not super important. You could grab this considering it's really cheap. I would recommend it. Keep up to date with the infantry equipment. Your support companies get the best supply logistics you can get. That's about it you want here. And keep artillery up to date. Just stick with artillery and improved anti-air. And for tanks, keep upgrading these as you go. One thing of note though, you might want to research the synthetic oils as well as synthetic oil experiments, because there is a focus here called the tire factory at Nokia. This just gives you a bonus to synthetic resources, which is not super impressive. It also gives you free synthetic refineries, 2 of them for free, if you just research the technology after you take that focus, or even if you get it before that focus. It's pretty nice to have. I'm gonna grab improved computing machine since it has a nice bonus associated with it. And now we just wait for the Soviets to start asking for Karelia. Ah, there we go. Soviets demand Karelia. Well, you pick the top option if you're a coward, and then you turn the video off because that's it, or we let them come if they dare. Now this stays up for about 10 days, so make use of that by telling everyone to stop exercising and let the game run for a little bit longer so everyone else can start grabbing their entrenchment that they're sort of missing now, and I'll let them come if they dare. Slow the game down a little bit. We now also get this communist pressure. It's a bit annoying. We're going to deal with that by simply banning communism. We don't really take a big hit to our stability, and it sort of takes the edge off of the communist pressure. We simply make the communist pressure disappear. Doctrines, Grand Battle Plan, as many of them as you can grab, plus over here, Spirit of Division Command. We're starting with static warfare. We're switching out of this as soon as we change our ideas. We're also going to grab Bold Attack, and might as well grab Elevated Engineering Corps or Quick Improv. Depends on what you like. Ah, there we go. Winter War. We get a massive bonus to recruitable pop, mobilization speed, winter attrition, pretty much everything we get buffed to the gills. We also finished Parmis Devils, which is nice, and we are now going to finish the Lone Wolf for even more bonuses. Now, a lot of these bubbles are going to start out red. Don't worry about it too much. They'll turn green eventually. If you notice a division like here, it's a little bit isolated. The bubble looks red. You can always take a division from one of the neighboring tiles, move it into assist, but you don't have to. We'll hold on to pretty much everything. We are going to be requesting some Lend-Lease. Sweden is generous. Sweden has a not inconsiderable amount of industry, so it can actually make quite a few guns and is very willing to send them to us. There we go. That's a reasonable amount of equipment, and we're constantly going to ask Sweden for stuff. Slow the game down, and we're also going to go up to war economy. And now we weather the storm. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. Fortunately, it's not a very big kitchen sink. They still have some terrible debuffs. We have some magnificent buffs, and the buffs will only keep getting better. we are going to do marvelously. Now, what I could also do is appeal to the Finnish spirit. This will increase mobilization speed even more, but I don't think it's worth it right now. Also, this is a nice opportunity. Whenever the US wants to send you stuff, even if you don't have the convoys, just accept and use the opportunity to talk to Sweden, see if they'll also throw in a couple of convoys for you, which they should. They will throw in extra convoys. That's a quick way of building up your convoy stockpile. Once again, apologies for the voice. I know it's not the best. Losses are mounting, but nothing too serious. I could deploy all these guys when I want to, so let's just shift priority to major reinforcements. It should be fine. It should be more than fine, honestly. We're also going to get a fun little event. The Dancing Band, which is plainly stupid unless you want the war support, which you don't need. And snipers. I want to make my snipers more deadly, so I'm going to pick the bottom option. It's gonna take a hit to our equipment. Big deficit, but we're waiting for our first shipment from Sweden, which will make things much better now. We finished the Lone Wolf, very helpful. Let's grab multi-tactics next for an... Oh, actually, multi-tactics is nice. So is utilize the Sami. Honestly, doesn't matter, you need both. I'll just grab multi-tactics first. A little bit of political power to tick in. One more. Come on. There we go. We're now going to go up to total mobilization and women in the workforce. The reason we're able to do that now is because the last focus pushed our stability up high enough that we could actually get women in the workforce, along with giving us the political power to do that. And now all future political power is going to be spent mostly on working our way towards all adults served. The reason we want that is, well, we need the manpower, but it also unlocks militarized society, which leads to greater Finland. Hey, Simahaya is doing really well. Either I get additional defense, but I already have plenty defense. The winter attrition is not that bad. I'd say we pick the option for 12,000 manpower, 50 political power, and some war support. That looks like what I need right now. 12,000 manpower can go a long way towards bolstering my forces. It just keeps getting better for the Soviets. Over the next years, they're gonna have a lot of pain. This division has 180 men left in it. Nico, my boy, my man, I'm gonna pull you off the front line for a bit. You may need to rest and recuperate. Honestly, I'm gonna cancel this line. For some reason, it's putting the manpower into the fresh units instead of the reinforcements, so reinforcements take priority. Until everything is reinforced to at least a reasonable standard, we're not going to train anyone else. We don't need more divisions right now, but it would be nice to have them. Alright, so most of our deficits are gone, and neighbors are less likely to lend-lease us, so what we do is simply queue up a bunch of divisions. This will create a massive new deficit, and we just ask again, you know, Sweden, guns, yes. AA, yes. Equipment, yes. Artillery, yes. Yes to all. No convoys, though, because I'm not actually using that many. But, you know, there we go. 5,000 guns, 200 artillery. It's so good. It's so generous, and they don't know that we'll use those guns on them instead. And now we just cancel the production line. They should contribute to this time. Yeah, well, we'll ask for some Swedish support, and let's just keep doing focuses. Can't go to militarized society yet. Could found the Pojolan Voima or do the Makola mine for a little bit of extra stuff. This is the short one. This gives us a little bit more resources. Then we'll do Pojolan Voima and work our way down there. We got most of the good stuff here. There are more mills to be had under the Air Force tree, so that's something we could look at. First, a couple of extra saves will make it easier to do the future collaboration governments. Pojan Voima is done. We have 300 political power. We're going to go up all adult serve. I know, this is a massive leap. We're gonna need the manpower, trust me, and the construction and industry penalties won't be as bad as it looks. It says -30, but once we do this focus, they'll all get cut in half. They'll get compensated by militarized society, and it'll just be air quotes, be -15, which is bearable. All right, these guys are ready. We're just gonna force deploy them, and that'll make the line a little bit longer. I will first start with our cuts towards Petrozavodsk. It's gonna be relatively easy. They don't have all that much here to stop me. We'll start their first counterattack. And we're gonna follow that up by building a railway next so we can plug that into our own network, but that's secondary. First goal, of course, is to actually get there. Pushing out easy. Perhaps even too easy, one might say. Suspiciously easy. Alright, let's plug that into our own network. There's a railway here, and we'll simply hook that bad boy up like so. And then from Petrozavodsk, make sure we capture this entire river line. And we have these fronts now separated as well. So 24 divisions on this bit, 13 divisions up north. Let's get a planning bonus going up north as well. The Murmansk East Karelia offensive operation, and we'll start pushing them back in on their own lines. And over here, we're going to start expanding south. If we can snag that supply hub before they can reinforce it, even better. Unlikely, but if we could, that would be amazing. Let's start the push. We can push. It's fine. Hey, these little pockets. Little pockets. Not much, but they're honest work. All right, we're about to take the supply hub there. We would like to plug it into our network. If we take Murmansk, it automatically gets plugged in, but I wanna beat the clock there. So there's a railway here. Let's plug that into there. It's a small investment, but it's gonna be worthwhile. Picking a fight with the Soviets around Leningrad. Hopefully we can seize the city relatively quickly. I'm a little tempted to integrate field hospitals into my armor divisions, mostly because they are precious to me, and if I can keep them in high experience, I won't have to suffer as much. There'll be plenty of suffering as it is, mostly for other people, but some for us as well. I want to minimize that. Anyway, we've pushed across the river here, so we're going to set these guys up on that new river line when we can, and we're going to start pushing. Keep these divisions pinned so they can't reinforce Leningrad. And up north here, most of these guys can now also be redeployed further south where they have more work ahead of them. Yes, bring them all south. Bring them all south. It looks like we'll blast Leningrad to pieces, but we'll take the city. Hurrah! Now to get across. Get across the river, please. Fall of Pietari, or whatever you want to call it. So the goal here is going to be mostly grab land while we can before the Soviet presence solidifies. And what we'll be aiming for is supply hubs, railway links leading to those supply hubs, and easily defensible positions like this river line. Now, I'm crossing this specific river line because I know once I take the hub at Tikvin, there is nothing in this area where the Soviets can draw equipment supply from, so I can easily push it now. If I have to push it later, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, so this just puts me in a better position moving forward. This is 15 Soviet divisions encircled. Now this is good. This is really good. I wasn't expecting things to be this good. Oh, there we go. Soviets have annexed this entire bit now as well. A little annoying. Not that annoying. Bit of a threat because it makes the front line so much longer. It was always going to happen though, so it's not unexpected. All right, peace negotiations. Once you hold Petrograd, Pietari, St. Petersburg, whatever, once you hold it for 30 days, you unlock this decision. Demand peace negotiations. If you just hold St. Petersburg, you will usually get a white peace. If you also hold Murmansk, Onega, and I believe maybe Olonets, you might get these out of the peace deal as well. So you get a white peace and a couple of territories to compensate you for your troubles. We're not going to do this. We are pushing on through the war. We're continuing the war effort because our goal is more than just this little bit of land. We have broader ambitions. All right, we just finished Greater Finland, which is nice because it gives us a course on Murmansk, which is now called Kolanimima. Onega gets to be a core, and I believe Olonets. Yeah, it's also a core. And we get a couple of claims as well, like on St. Petersburg, making it a little bit easier to occupy. We're gonna get a little bit of extra manpower of this, though these are not super populated areas. And we can now justify a war goal on Sweden. Retake core state, Norrbotten. Doesn't take a long time. We've also not generated any world tension, so we can do whatever we want. The Allies will not intervene, so we're gonna do that. Sweden's not gonna like that, but we can improve relations. They won't really mind. We're not doing anything particularly wrong, right? Now that we're clearly on the offensive here, I've also turned off static warfare, swapped it out for logistical focus, considering, the vastness of Russia, yada yada yada. This is a pretty good deal to have. An alternative would be flexible organization for a little bit of extra speed. Might also switch out proper heritage, since it doesn't really apply to our supply on core territory, since we're not on our core territory. Might swap out for something like quick improv or professional officer corps. But the vastness of Russia is being consumed as we speak. There's a lot of Russia here though. It's a lot of Russia here. So we have our work cut out for us either way. Step by step, bit by bit, we annex more and more and more. All right, we finished our justification on Norrbotten. This is a war goal that doesn't expire, so it's a retake core state war goal. This one never expires, so we can keep that one in the bank until we want to declare war on Sweden. And in a turn of events that is going to surprise absolutely no one, frontline AI is next to useless. So it managed to get a division encircled because of course it did. Why would it ever try to be competent? Meanwhile, it's stacking 4 divisions per tile in the far east of the line where the Soviets have no supply, while completely ignoring the far west of the line where, you know, the Soviets have fighting capacity. Not great, and it's honestly really annoying to deal with. Another glorious encirclement. Just need to thin the herd, thin the Soviet herd before we can actually have any chance of maintaining a front line, but we're getting ever closer, ever closer, ever closer. So next goal will be to take Vitebsk, major supply hub, Smolensk, major supply hub, and then from the north here or to the center, no matter, depends on how you look at it, we're gonna start driving towards Kalinin, Rzhev, and Moscow itself. It's also July 41. Any day now, Germany's gonna roll in and start the party. I just really wish I could find more manpower more quickly. This is, it's expensive. 366,000 losses. But I've killed 2.1 million men, so it's okay. I'm going through the Russians. It feels like they're not even there. Yeah, they're probably getting justified on by the Germans now. It's August, so they're getting that justification notification, and they're probably scrambling to put troops on the German border. It's going to be hard for them to combine that with keeping troops on my border, and the end result is going to be hilarious. And that is another 6 divisions gone. I would not want to be a field marshal in the Russian army right now. I would not want to have to explain this to Stalin. Oh, thank God. Germany's declared war on the Soviet Union, so Barbarossa is underway. Second collab finishes in 80 days as well. That will have them with 2 collaboration governments. They will most likely fall. Oh, we've taken Moscow. No warning or any indication of that. They will most likely fall once Germany reaches Stalingrad. Personally, I don't think we should be pushing out much further. A little bit, of course, once the Germans catch up and our line shrinks a little. But in terms of offensive operations, I think we're going to halt here. I'm going to ask for military access, of course, just to make our front lines a little neater. And we're just going to condense our line as the Germans advance and maybe make a few strategic pushes just to be able to occupy a little bit more territory, but nothing else, really. Yeah, German advance seems unstoppable. We still have the majority of the participation just because of, you know, the damage, the sheer damage we've done to the Soviet Union. They're up to 2.8 million casualties, and the majority of that is still our doing, 2.5 million. They're falling quickly, so they are 47% of the way there, and our collab is almost done. Yeah, I figured an all-out assault would probably be fine now, considering how thin the Soviets are, how undersupplied they are. Probably just fully mobilize the supply as well. They're not really bombing me. Just gonna go for it, see if we can knock them down another peg or 2. Should be able to capitulate them soon, air quotes. I think when Stalingrad falls, it's all Jover, along with the Caucasus. A little bit of a land grab to get our participation back up, because it's dropped down to 68%. And we have completed our new course for Kokomus, and that shows a hidden focus, a single hidden focus. See, if you get to this focus while maintaining the starting leader for the entire game, or getting him back after getting rid of him, you unlock the Finnish throne. With this, Prince Wolfgang von Hesse becomes leader of the non-aligned party and the Crown Prince of Finland. No idea where the king went, but at least we'll get a Crown Prince, it'll do. It also makes taking states in peace a lot cheaper, and we can get even cheaper Estonian course. If we can hold off for another 70 days, we will most certainly get what we want in the peace deal, though I don't think it's going to be required. If it, you know, everyone dies sooner, so be it. The Allies, being the dum-dums that they are, they're going to lose the majority of the army up north. I'm going to outmaneuver them and bypass them. I was also a bit of an idiot. I forgot that I actually did research naval invasion tech. So I'm going to go for a naval invasion of Visby, and I'll try to hit them around Stockholm to cut them off in the south as well. Again, pretty big thing to have. If you have naval invasion tech, you can pretty much do whatever you want to Sweden. If I had remembered that correctly, I would have done that day 1. Now, this is going to be a little more difficult if the Swedish fleet is out. Yeah, that is the Swedish army thoroughly humiliated. Yeah, they got the majority of their troops stuck up there. Great. Very great. And there goes the Soviet Union. Hurrah. So, stuff we'll take straight up are our cores and claims in this area. We're also going to grab all of the Baltics. Since we have claims there, it is cheaper. Might as well snag it up. And that's pretty much all we want to be occupying ourselves. Now, we will be releasing Estonia for a different achievement later on, but this is the occupation we want. There's a couple of puppets we also want. I don't remember the names exactly, so I'm gonna go look at a document. The Yamalayan Republic I know is involved. I also know Ostyak, Nenetsia, the Komi Republic, the Republic of Udmurtia, Mariel. Is that all of them? Let's see. Yeah, I think that is all of them. Mariel, Udmurtia, Komi, Nenetsia, Ostyak, Yamalaya. And then we still need Hungary, Estonia, Sapmi, and Karelia. Now, Sapmi, Karelia, and Estonia, we have occupied, we have claims and even cores on some of the territory. We'll hold on to that until we've done everything else, since, you know, better in our hands than in someone else's. And Hungary, we will acquire once we defeat the Axis, so this should be sufficient. Now, since we have a bunch of war participation, of course, we're going to be taking a slice of Soviet Union as well, because we've earned it. We've worked hard for this. It's our Soviet Union. If you have less participation, that's fine. Depending on what achievements you want or need, choose your conquests accordingly. This is good and bad. Good as in we'll get a lot of manpower out of this. We can squeeze that Russian puppet for manpower and we're one step closer to an achievement. The bad is we have now generated a whole lot of world tension. In a perfect world, Sweden would have joined the Comintern and we would have handled it that way. Now, their army is handled, so that's not an issue. They would have been included in the peace deal. It would have been a lot easier, cheaper, would be done. Hasn't happened. Second best option would be that we were able to finish the war with Sweden before the war with the Soviet Union finished. Because of how world tension works, we would not have driven them into the arms of the Allies. It is entirely likely, since we've generated so much world tension, Sweden will now be driven into the arms of the Allies. Now, we do have a little bit of time. I think we can finish them off before then with our collaboration government in place, so we'll give it a try. And there we go. A quick, easy, well, a bit rushed naval invasion of Sweden. Had to really hit them hard in the south, overrun them, and take literally all of their land despite the collaboration government. My word of advice, if you're gonna try for this, get naval invasion tech and keep an army there to naval invade. I simply repositioned the forces that freed up with Russia falling, threw them at the south of Sweden, which was virtually empty since their entire army was up north, but it's a bit tricky if you don't plan for this. Good news though, we got our peace deal. They didn't join the Allies. We're just gonna take Norrbotten, we're gonna take the Swedish Navy, and we're going to puppet the rest of Sweden. I believe that will be the easiest way. Though on the other hand, they might need to take the Sapmi territories up there. I think it's easiest if we just puppet Sweden. A little bit of war reparations, because what has Sweden ever done for us, right? And that is that beautiful little penis shape. Well, that's our justification on Memel done. It's a claimed state, so it'll last for a little bit. I'm thinking of finishing up this engine production thing. Gonna get everybody a little bit of exercising. I've switched my template over to something using Russian manpower. They still have plenty of manpower. I've begun building in their territory as well, just to keep the independence down a little, keep them on their toes. Yeah, and it's just a matter of taking out the Axis, which is gonna be a lot of work, but certainly not gonna be impossible. I could just declare war now before they get too many divisions into place, so let's get this over with. Yeah, it's gonna call Japan in, but Japan's really not a big deal. Japan's very far away and they don't have a border with me. I'm not gonna call any of my puppets in. They will serve to shield me. First off, seize Narvik, seize Kirkenes, and just attack in Finnmark down south. If we can attack and push, I mean, be my guest, I guess. It's not entirely likely that we'll be able to advance all that much here. Oh yes, the Finnish aggression war. Fine. I do seem to have caught them mostly by surprise, so I'm gonna grab a little land here. I'm also gonna rethink my tactics here, so pushing out while nice is actually putting a strain on my army. I'm gonna fall back to this river line. It should be very defensible, and it will allow me to leave one army of 24 on that line, probably enough to defend, and I'll direct all other forces to taking out southern Norway in a quick blitz. Let's just see what we can snag. The armor should be able to do a great deal of work here. If we can nab Oslo, that would make things a lot more easy in this area. Yeah, just pushing the armor and the more or less elite divisions up through the south where the terrain is actually flat has enabled us to seize the majority of this stuff here in a shocking turn of events. Italy's not dead yet. They haven't retaken Rome yet, and Mussolini's going to have a really bad day eventually, but they've actually managed to contain that. Impressive. Now, we do need to take this area here before the Allies are able to exert a sufficient amount of pressure on Italy. Once Italy caps, all of this is going to be turned... probably going to be turned back over to Norway. I don't want that. I need to be in control by the time that happens. My units are not that well suited to the area, so it's not gonna be particularly easy. So I promised I'd show you some nice encirclements. The brute force method, grand battle plan planning bonus is insane. So we've basically ground our way through the mountains here at... not insignificant expense. Yeah, we've plunged them into hell, so that's a lot of Italians about to die, and it's just a matter of taking Trondheim to get Trondelag under our control. Still a lot of Italians here, so once we're done here, I think Italy is going to be easy pickings for the Allies. Oh, baby. Germany. That's like 30 of your divisions. Italy, another handful of units. I've already killed 1 million Germans. I'm going to kill so many more. You barely take any damage. It's insane. All right, so that was 12,000 men there. I thought it was going to be more. All right, 48,000 men. About to be a whole lot more. Now, this is going to be 31 divisions. We just popped 228,000 manpower. Oh my god, that is brilliant. And with that, we have all of Norway secured. So we technically can get Lone Wolf. We just need to beat the Germans. Encirclement here, encirclement there. Yes, I don't want your Lend-Lease anyway. Come on, come on. Ah, another pocket, another pocket, another one. Now, Germany is gonna, you know, put up an actual fight here though, so I need to actually use my brain for this one. The Field Marshal attack order mainly serves to keep the AI distracted with different attacks. The main damage is going to be from the tanks, who will move to encircle as many divisions as possible wherever they can. Oh god, they're just flooding in more troops. Oh, they're just flooding in more troops. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. We're going to have to do this the old-fashioned, which is brute force my way through. And so it begins the fall of the Reich. Bit by bit, the armor dismantles their divisions. We punch a hole, we create an encirclement, we kill the encirclement, and we move on. So far, limited losses, maximum damage, going well, going nice. There are a lot of Germans though, so they have like 373 divisions. That's more than the Soviets had, and they don't have massive penalties against us, so this is actually a bit of a slog. I've lost 500,000 men already. I'm running out of Finns, which is a problem, but as long as I keep building in Russia, I can keep their autonomy down, and I can keep using Russians to die in my glorious fights. It's the safe bet here. Hey, I've taken Berlin. Oh, Germany capped. Wow, they had a lot of guns, but they did cap. Oh, thank God for that. I'm just gonna get a nice fat Field Marshal order going here. A nice fat attack into this area. I don't care about anything else. Let's just get this over with. And Regno del Sud has popped up, so Finland now has an Italian puppet as well. Okay, fine, you get to have the territory. Is this war almost over? Just Bulgaria and the Repubblica Sociale Italiana. So Italy and Bulgaria, and then we are done here. It's over. It's over. I can take Finnmark and I'll just puppet the rest of Norway. I don't care about any of this stuff. And I think we got them. Let's see here, the completed ones. I wish there was an easier way to see this. I have to go manually look for them. They're not up. Oh my god, I forgot to do Hungary. I'm gonna quickly restart. Through the power of editing, we're back. So let's just do this one more time. Get this over with. There we go. All we want here is just Finnmark up there, and turn Greater Hungary into a puppet, and that's really all we care about. Of course, we're going to take a little bit extra, but that is really all we care about. I'm also going to puppet Sapmi, and while I'm at it, might as well puppet Norway. There we go. I don't even care what the world looks like. We have let's take a quick look here. Here we go. We have a lone wolf as Finland form Greater Finland and own every core and claim without having ever joined a faction. So we got that one. Finish him, obviously. We got that one as well. And we just need Uralic Brothers United, so I'll need to release Karelia and Estonia. Should be easy enough. And there we go. No one crosses the finish line. So that's a nice series of Finnish achievements. Let's go into our occupied territory. We'll release Estonia. Now we release Karelia. And now we have our Uralic Brothers Unite. We're done here. The Greater Kingdom of Finland is pretty greater. The world is pretty cooked, but I'm done. I'm so incredibly done. I hope you guys at least enjoyed this video. It's a little different from what I usually do. I needed these achievements myself, so I figured why not take you guys along for the ride. Hopefully this video is helpful for you as well. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.